Hey there, my name is Cameron. Welcome to Beyond the Parallax Effect. This is Lesson 4. In this lesson, you will learn how to create this second scene based on the 2.5D technique. The principles learned in this scene can carry across to more advanced setups, so let's dive in and get started. To create this scene, begin in Photoshop. Duplicate the layer 3 times. Rename the bottom layer Original, the top layer Hand, the next layer Light, and finally the last layer Background. Use the Quick Selection tool to select the hand and refine. Because the hand somewhat blends into the dark background, the selection does not need to be perfect. Imperfections will be hidden by the dark background. Click on Select and Mask to feather the edges. Create a new layer mask on the hand layer. Select the light with the Quick Selection tool and create another layer mask. Next, select the clone brush and paint away the hand from the background. Lastly, click on the foreground color and select a hue of brown right next to the light. Using the brush tool, paint over the light with the newly selected foreground color. Import the Photoshop file into After Effects and select Retain Layer Size. Delete the original layer and make all layers 3D. Position the hand away from the background and set a keyframe. At the end of the timeline, move the hand up along the Y position, making it appear that the hand is moving from out of frame into frame. Position the background layer back in Z-space. Move it back enough to really create some dimension separation between the background, light, and foreground hand. The foreground hand could use some more separation on the Z-axis. Select both keyframes and move one of the sets of keyframes further forward in Z. Because both keyframes are selected, both keyframes should move together without disrupting the animation. Keyframing the light with a very slight move on the Y-axis will make it appear to have more dimension separation from the box it sits in. This is a very subtle move, but adds to the overall parallax. Be aware of light positioning so that it still hides the cloned box in the background. Again, select both keyframes of the hand and reposition. Enable motion blur for all 3 layers and the timeline. Create a new 35mm camera. I prefer the one-node camera for simple movements like this scene. Set a keyframe on the X rotation and slightly tilt the camera down. Move to the end of the timeline and slightly tilt the camera up. This slight camera rotation on the X axis brings a little more motion to the parallax effect. Select the hand and the puppet pin tool. Begin to add pins to the joints of the fingers. Set keyframes and start to push and pull the hand pins until the hand motion looks believable. The light needs to be pre-composed to add the glow effect. If the light layer was imported as document size versus layer size, this step would not need to happen. Add the glow effect found under Stylize, Glow. The glow radius needs to be substantially increased to give off the effect of a bright light. Option or Alt-click on the glow intensity parameter. This enables an expression to give the light a flicker effect. The wiggle frequency should be a high number like 30, while the amplitude should be a low number like 0.2 to create a subtle but fast flicker. Select the comp in the project window and hit the return key on the keyboard. Rename the comp Composite. Click and drag this comp to the new comp icon. Name this new comp Output and set it to 1920 by 1080. Scale the composite comp down. This layer composite will remain 2D, but by keyframing and moving the layer up over the course of the animation, it makes the layer appear to have more of a camera move. Selecting the word position selects all keyframes so that they can be moved in a group without disrupting the animation. Import the letterbox PNG. At this point, the animation could be considered done. The movement and overall composition look nice. I chose to add an additional look to the composite with the Red Giant plugin suite Universe. This is a relatively cheap plugin suite that is chock full of useful plugins and is used sparingly throughout this series. Check it out if you're not familiar with the plugins. There is a free trial. Add a new adjustment layer, duplicate it twice, and name accordingly. Each adjustment layer shown here is named according to the plugin that is used on that layer. The carousel effect is a little too strong on its color, so dropping the adjustment layer's opacity to around 35% reduces the effect. The color effect is more subtle, but still effective. That's how to create this second 2.5D parallax scene in this series. We will be creating 2 additional 2.5D scenes in the coming lessons, so stay tuned for those. Try creating a 2.5D scene based on a photograph and the techniques you have learned here. Leave your comments below and let me know what you think of this lesson.